It's another new rally, and it's yet another rally won by Sebastian Ogier. The title battle heats up, and there is drama on the last day. Let's talk about Ueno Rally del Paraguay. And we'll start off with the driver that is chasing his 9th World Championship, because he was put back on the Friday by a puncher. And then he comes through and wins by 26.2 seconds. It should have been larger, it should have been over a minute, but the rain hit at the wrong time in the power stage, and he ended up losing out quite a bit of time. He only got 1 point, right, or 2 or 3 points even for all of Sunday. He just lost so much time in that final stage. Another driver I think was affected, they didn't really talk about it, so we will go to talk about him in a moment. But yeah, Ogier is the winner. He's closed the gap, and the podium is rounded out by Elfyn Evans and Thierry Neuville. I say that because Adrien Fourmaux, since me watching the rally, has been classified as retired due to a gearbox issue. Now, whether or not this is serial beatable and Hyundai trying to pull out a bit of a strategy difference, because after all, Fourmaux's retirement will just promote Ott Tanak, and it does. It means Ott Tanak's now in 4th. It means that all the points go between the two drivers, so there's nothing in terms of the championship that affects them. Now, give the benefit of the doubt, maybe it was a gearbox issue. That would explain why Fourmaux dropped from 2nd in what was arguably his best performance since the Monty. And, yeah, was, 4th at the end of the rally? But what it does is it has a knock-on impact on the championship, because not only does Tanak continue to gain points, but so does Calero from Pera, who is in the title battle. We'll talk about the title ramifications later in this video, but that is a big deal that Fourmaux has retired. I expected Hyundai would probably do a late check-in, because that would give Tanak the promotion and put Fourmaux behind Tanak. But the retirement supposedly allows them to change the gearbox ahead of going to Rally Chile. So that actually also does make sense. That makes sense as to why they do that, but he was a good performer this rally. I think he only really made 1 or 2 mistakes. The overshoot at the start of Sunday, and then the pushing on Saturday that led to the puncher. Because I was watching that stage where he got the puncher, and it was really surprising. I was like, he's going to get a puncher, he's going to crash if he keeps pushing like this. And lots of cars were pushed to limit over the event. Like I mentioned, Ogier had a puncher. Ott Tanak had a puncher. He ended up finishing 30 seconds off the win. Calero from Pera lost a heap of time when he pushed really, really hard. And that was with a flat. Did most of the stage, lost 2.5 minutes because of it. He probably would have actually saved time changing, but supposedly, according to a stage edit interview today, he's also ill. Which would make sense as to why he would think, you know what, I can make it, because he was conserving his energy on just driving the car. But it wasn't just the cars that made to the end unaffected who were affected. Obviously, there were other drivers who had issues. The 2 M Sport Pumas both retired on Saturday at the same point due to oil pressure and oil sump issues. I mean, we heard it with the Hyundais actually on the power stage. Both Tanak and Neuville think they broke their damper, their front right damper on the same corner coming off the tarmac at the end of the power stage. But let's quickly touch on WRC2. It was a big deal for a lot of the different competitors in WRC2, with Oliver Solberg now essentially one hand on the WRC2 crown. That's because he beat Johan Roussel in an out-and-out fight. 22.5 seconds gap at the end. Nikolai Grosjean picked up 3rd, but he needed to win. Roussel needed to win. If Solberg wins in Chile, it's pretty much sorted. Poor Gus Greensmith had the whole axle collapse on the spectator stage, the super special in the middle of Friday. He'd been complaining about the bump stops on the suspension from the very start of the rally. And then They picked the best camera angle for this as well, because it came out live. You just saw the rear just kick up and it all collapse. You got a feel for him. He is a dependable driver. He's a reliable driver. He's usually good on these rough events. But something went wrong with that Fabio. Is he Talksport? I feel like he's a Talksport Fabio. Elsewhere in WRC2, Paz Aldevar was the best local driver. He ended up finishing, 2.5 minutes off of Solberg? That was despite a roll. He was on his side in the middle of Saturday. For poor Dominguez Jr., he ended up retiring on mechanical grounds in the event, so he didn't make it to the end. Lots of drivers ended up having to super rally, from people like Martinez as local drivers, or Kaitan Kaitanovic as well. He ended up having to super rally. And it put them behind the lead WRC3 drivers, who we can talk about now. Because it was a win for Matteo Fontana in WRC3. It was an all-fiesta affair this time around. And he led home Giovanni Rossi by 1 minute 50.9. Eduardo Castro was in third place, 5 minutes off the win. And Georgios Vasilakis, I think, was the only other one who wasn't affected by mechanical issues. 20 minutes off of the win, with Natalia Vrun and Andre Martinez rounding up the order. I think that meant... Did that mean that everyone in WRC3 made it to the end? But either way, let's talk championship standings now. Elfyn Evans is on 198 points. Ogier and Rovanperä are tied on 189 following Fourmaux's retirement. Wout Tanak in 4th on 178, 20 points back. Thierry Neuville still mathematically in it, but with 4 rounds remaining, he needs to find 48 points. It is doable. Using quick maths, that's 12 points a round, so just sweep every round and hope that the other people around you are just going to be picking points off of each other. It could be that in a couple of weeks' time, Ogier ends up in the lead of the championship after a good run in Chile. Rovanperä could do that. Evans could do that. I mean, wasn't it a podium lockout last year? It could easily be a good round for Toyota. Elsewhere, if we have a look at the Manufacturers' Championship, it is pretty much guaranteed to Toyota now. 513 to Hyundai's 401. And then, of course, in the team's Gazoo Racing WRT2 is on 200 points. Because that's the amount of rallies that have been finished by Sami Pairi, with 2 retirements, the Monte and Islas Canarias. WRC2, like I said, is where it gets interesting. We need to factor in dropped rounds, but it is a head-to-head between Solberg and Russell, where there are 11 points in it. So Russell has done 6 rounds. His dropped score is a non-score. Solberg has done 6 rounds. His dropped score is a non-score. But then, while Solberg's lowest is a 5th, the rest of them are wins. For Russell, he's got 2 seconds and a 3rd, and 2 wins. Poor Gus Greensmith, his drop round will now be this one. And he's dropped another, 18 points compared to Solberg's 15, so he's in a similar boat to what Russell is doing. He could outscore Russell if he wins the next ones, but I think he's doing Chile. And likewise for Nikolai Gryajan, he's carrying across 2 third-place finishes because he retired from Estonia. So it is basically Solberg's to lose. He does have to win in Chile, or possibly get second, but it is almost as good as done for Oliver Solberg. In the Teams Championship, PH Sport are only 5 points clear of Toksport at the moment. So that one could be closer towards the end of the season. In WRC3, it is still Taylor Gill leading the way on 92 points. Matteo Fontana with that win. It is his second win because he also won his home round in Sardinia. He's on 84 from 4 scores. So there are a couple of opportunities left for him to go and score points this season. He could potentially end up with the championship because unless Gill is going to do a non-JWRC round, they've already got the CER left in the juniors. Pellemorg is in 3rd and is 92 points behind Gill. Gill's on 92, Fontana's on 84, Pellemorg's on 60. You got Turkan on 59, Matsushita on 57, Kazaz on 53, and Rossi on 53. But before I wrap up for this video, I want to bring up a bit of a debate. Because Seb Ogier was complaining at the end of the event about the power stage and how he was the only one affected by the wet. I don't think he was. There were a few drivers who were. I think Fourmaux was, for example, though it could be the gearbox issue was part of it as well. But I also think that some of the drivers who ran a bit earlier were the likes of Munster or Macalean, or even the likes of Katsuta. But what I want to do is I want to talk about the points implications of what happened over the Super Sunday. Because if you've been on this channel for a while, I think it is still my linked video if you go to the channel. I did a video last year where I tested every single WRC point system against every single season of WRC. I've got a second edition that's in the background, which also includes a 2025 system. If we were using last year's point system, Elfyn Evans would still be in the championship. He'd have a 3-point lead over Color from Pera. Third place would be Oitanak, who would be 13 points back. And Ogier would be 17 points back in fourth. Now, if we went back to 2017, where Ogier has won, 4 of his titles from? Because he won 4 of them on the 2011 system, the early power stage one, 13 through 16. He won the other 4 on the 2017 point system, which gave the power stage to the top 5 instead of the top 3. In the 2017 system, he is 3 points behind Elfyn Evans in second place in the championship. Oitanak is 9 points off in third. Carlo from Pera is another point back in fourth. Using the 2011 system, Ogier would be leading the championship by a single point over Elfyn Evans. 12 points clear of Oitanak, 19 points clear of Carlo from Pera. And then if you went back to 2010, so without any power stage points at all, bearing in mind it is also an extra point for second place. They took 1 point off of second place for this year. Evans would be in first on 153 points. Ogier would be in second on 151. Tanak would be in third on 140, and Carlo from Pera would be in fourth on 124. A 29-point lead for Evans over from Pera, 2 points over Ogier. And what that tells us, aside from me just reading out numbers off of a page, and a lengthy page at that with lots and lots of numbers on it, is that Ogier has just been ruthlessly consistent. I mean, we know this. He has gotten a podium in every rally he's been in this year. There is no other driver with that kind of a hit rate in the top level of motorsport at the moment. Heck, even Oscar Piastri, if you look at his Australian Grand Prix, didn't get a podium. Ogier has been magnificent. He skipped rounds this year because he was thinking, oh, I'll do a part-time program. But for the second year in a row now, his part-time program has become, oh, why don't I see if I can get a 9th World Championship? This time he's taking it even more seriously than last year. And yes, there was a big point swing from what happened on the power stage. He didn't get any power stage points, so that's 5 points he'd lost, in theory. I think he dropped from something like 1st to 5th on the Super Sunday as well. So that could be another 4 points lost. That swing, if we said he gained 9 points and Evans lost 2, would put him in the lead of the championship. His maths, and I think Julian Porter's maths on the broadcast, said they would be level on points. So Chile is going to be interesting for that title battle. It's going to be a 4-way fight, mathematically and actually in terms of competitiveness. I think Neville will try to get himself in there. He's got a mathematical chance. Of course he will try and push. But realistically, it's a 4-way fight. If we end up with a 5-way fight in Saudi Arabia, that would be mega. A brand new rally, and what would be, a record number of drivers eligible for the championship. I think we had, 4 in 2003? It would be otherworldly. But to wrap up, I do want to talk about the rally quick. It was a great one to watch, and it's great to have new events in the calendar. It's great to have new events that are different events. I might say something similar about Saudi Arabia when it runs at the end of the year. Because Paraguay brings something that we haven't had in the WRC before, despite the fact that we've had neighbouring countries in the WRC before. Brazil, or Argentina. Then we've got Chile as well. It's great to have these new events that bring something different, because the kind of clay top, it looked like Australia, but when it got wet on the Sunday, it was like Kenya. It had elements of it that were a bit like Indonesia. Like I said in the preview, that's why I used the Indonesia stages from WRC, the EA Sports WRC game for it. But it also had its own unique character. You could see if you went through the bedrock. And it wasn't like in Kenya where you just have some bits that are over bedrock. It was, this is gravel with bedrock underneath it. It's a loose thing. It's gravel lanes. In some ways, when you had the bits through the houses, it was a bit like Poland. Or maybe a little bit like Estonia or Latvia. We need more rallies that are unique in the championship. I think every single one is somewhat unique these days. But I would love to have, say, a Corsica back, because that brings a unique character to the championship. I mean, I'm also just pushing for more tarmac rallies, but what can we do? And maybe an Australia or a New Zealand. You need something that is a unique challenge. So you don't just have, okay, flat out gravel rally or smooth tarmac rally. But either way, those are my thoughts, those are my observations. Thank you so much for watching and joining, folks. And until next time, it's bye-bye for now.